Okay, I have to take some screws out of the cover here to service my emergency generator. So I'm going to use a tool you may not have ever heard of. I'm sure all the mechanics out there know what I'm talking about, but there are people that don't know. So I'm going to introduce you to, this is called an impact driver. Okay, when you have a screw that won't come out, which way do you want to go with it? You turn this in that direction. Okay, and what happens is when you hit it, watch how this head spins when I press forward. If I'm hitting this with a hammer, see how it will turn because of these tracks, these grooves in here, much like a shift drum on a motorcycle. Okay, when you twist that, it will make something go sideways, or whichever way it's designed to go. But when you smack the impact driver and you have it set to go to the left, it not only drives the screw head in and making it less likely to strip the head out, but it will turn it. See how, watch the head turn as I push forward. See how that turns? Okay, see how that turns? Okay, so what I'm going to do is smack it with my impact driver. Whoops. So I'm going to start the screw, and I'm going to make sure I have it turning the correct way. I don't want it to go to the right, I want it to go to the left. So I'm going to smack it with my hammer. Believe it or not, this was new at one time. It's a brass hammer. Now I'm going to hit that, and it's going to turn that screw. Now I'm going to hold it firmly and not allow this to turn. This is the only thing going to turn. That screw is pretty tight. That's why I had to dig out my impact. Okay, here we go. It's loose. I'll do the same. Oh. Whoops, to the lower screw. Our power went out a couple weeks ago for a few days. My generator ran the whole time pretty much. Keep my food from going bad. Okay, here we go. Now watch the head. You have to, don't blink. Let me make sure this is aimed. Okay. Now I'm going to smack this and hold this from turning, but only this will twist. And the force of the hammer will drive the screwdriver head into the screw, preventing it from stripping out. Okay, here we go. See? That loosened that. That was corroded in there. That's called an impact driver. That's a must-have. Some other things that would come in handy you may never heard of. This here, when you drop something, which always happens, down in a tight spot, you really can't get it, you push this little trigger here, and these fingers open up, allowing you to retrieve things that are in an odd spot. Whoops. It's a lifesaver sometimes. Very handy. I actually have two of them. Another thing you can use is a magnet, telescoping magnet. When you drop a tool down in somewhere where you can't reach it, you can get down in there and retrieve tools with these magnets. You got to have one. It should be a standard item in your toolbox. Okay, on your motorcycle or in your car or truck, especially if you're driving something old, carry a hacksaw blade. Put tape on the teeth so they won't damage anything, but you wrap a rag around this a few times when you just have to cut something. can be a real time saver, get you out of a tough spot. If you have a little piece of a hacksaw blade, make sure you're pressing in the right direction. They don't cut when the teeth, when you're pulling back. They only cut when they're going forward. And when you're cutting anything, let me grab a saw blade. When you're cutting something thin, like a piece of plexiglass or a thin piece of wood, you want to have at least 3 of the teeth on the kerf, on how thick whatever you're cutting is. If you have something that's thin and you have something, a blade that has a you know, like a 40 tooth 10-inch table saw blade, and you're going to cut something thin, it's just going to explode it. You want something like a 72 or 128 tooth blade on something thin like 1/8 inch plexiglass or Lexan. And when you cut through Lexan or plexiglass, you want to coat both ends with masking tape and cut through the tape. What else do I have here? This is a this has got me out of some spots. These are the old tire plugs I used to carry. These are very flexible. They have tape around the narrow waist. Okay, you take this guard off and you stick this in the hole on your tire and you ream it. And this tool does 2 things. It makes the hole it makes it round, and it makes it the correct size to only go to this part here with the tape on it. I have 2 here still sealed. But then this has a little metal insert in there so that this end won't poke through. And when you're ready to put the plug in, after you've reamed, you know, you got the nail or the screw out, then you've reamed the hole and put glue in the hole, vulcanizing glue. I buy little packets. I'll show you. I buy these on eBay. Little packets of rubber vulcanizing glue. They're like 50 cents a piece. I buy them. You get a dozen of them for like $5 or something like that. And they come from China. But the reason I buy a dozen and I don't get big ones or a can is because once you open them, once you puncture that metal membrane there with the reverse side of the cap, that is going to evaporate out of there. And you're going to go to use it again like in 6 months or 2 years, and it's going to be empty because it evaporates out of there. So whenever you ream a hole, then you put this glue on here and ream it again to get the glue in there. Then put some glue on the part here that's covered with tape. You put it on there, straight to China. This has a hole in the back that fits the reamer, and you'll feel that piece of metal in there, so it won't stab its way through there. Then you put this in the hole, and it will only go in till it gets to this thick part. Now, an old motorcycle buddy of mine that used to be a Harley test rider for the factory told me he went to a motorcycle exposition somewhere, and there was a guy that had a tank filled with water and a motorcycle tire submerged that had 100 of these plugs in it. And the tire had 100 pounds of air indicated on a gauge connected to the Schrader valve. And none of them were leaking. I don't know what these are called, but if you ever see them, that is very compact. But remember to carry the glue. Buy these on eBay. Buy like a dozen of them for $5 free shipping from China. because they're a one-time use, I believe, because it evaporates out. What else do I have here? I wanted to show you these. These are Rox bar risers. Let me get a tool. 5mm. 6mm. Huh. What size is it? It's not a 5 or a 6. Huh. My aching ass. I got it. Okay, this is how they come. This is for 7/8 inch handlebars. I had these on my Kawasaki Z400, and I sold the machine, so I put it back to stock, and I saved these. These are about $75, $85 now, but they go into your perch on your bike, and you put your clamp on there, and you tighten it up, and then you put your handlebars in these perches here and tighten them down. And you can, the beauty of these is you can not only rotate your handlebars in there, but you can rotate these in the motorcycle perch to wherever you want them. These are Rox. You can get these in anodized black, I believe, also. But these are pretty well made. I think they're around $75, $80, something like that. But I was going to put these on my new to me Honda NT700. Oh, I need a different clamp, because the clamp that comes with my Honda is one piece to go into both perch parts, and for some reason I couldn't get that to go on. Here's another useful tool. Go into I got this at 5 or less. Okay, this is a syringe. I think they market these as turkey basters. Yeah, they call it a grill flavor injector, and it holds 130 milliliters. But anyway, I use this for tight spots when I have to like put fork oil in something on a motorcycle, when you really can't get a funnel in there and you don't want to spill it, because then you don't know how much you've spilled. So using one of these turkey baster syringes is pretty handy to have around the garage. You know, you can pre-measure how much you need to put into whatever it is your like your forks. Okay, you can pre-measure in a measuring cup and then just draw it out or pour it into this and then pump it in with this. Very handy. One other little thing. I saw on television they're advertising an emergency air inflator for your car. And it looks something like this, okay? And it's got a battery that you have to keep charged. And then it's got the air hose on it, okay? And they want people to think that if they have this in their trunk, they're going to be able to inflate their tire and be on their way in a couple minutes. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to forget that's in your trunk. The battery's going to go dead. You're going to turn it on and it's not going to work. They're $90. The reason I'm bringing this up is these used to be sold at Walmart. They were $9.98. This is a 12-volt tire inflator. This was the one I carried on my Kawasaki Z400, which I just sold, so it's not in a bike right now. But you'll see I have the glue and some of the string plugs. I like these best. And here is the pump. Let's take it out. I carry some spare fuses, and there's a spare key to my trunk that I had on my Kawasaki. And these have a tire gauge and an on-off switch, and I think it has, yeah, it has a light too. And you plug it in to your cigarette lighter, or you make up a cigarette lighter, female socket. You can get the sockets at AutoZone for like $10. But anyway, you get these were $10. Now they're $20 because I was in AutoZone yesterday, and I saw that Slime brand is now selling these again. They're now $20, but they're about this size. You can get a feel for how big it is, me holding it there. But these will pump up the rear tire on a motorcycle, which is like 180 millimeter on a 17-inch rim. I timed it. It's around 5 minutes. So I would definitely, and these came in this little pouch here, but you could make something up. But anyway, I just wanted to show you a few things that you may not know exist that I think you should carry. I'm going to get back to working on my generator. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to buy a bigger one. I want to get one that'll run my whole house. But this one, I've had this generator for about 25 years, and it's always started because I run it completely out of gasoline before I put it away, and it's been pretty good. It only puts out 1400 watts, which is enough to run my furnace, and I can alternate between my two refrigerators and a few lights and charge my phones. That's enough. Anyway, I'll see you there.